everyone, it's Ria. Thanks for coming back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we're making a little bag, which when I saw it for the first time, I thought, okay, that's a really cute shape, but wasn't quite my style because it was a waist bag, hip bag, bum bag, fanny pack, whatever you want to call it. And I don't wear those. I don't like them. I don't like those. I don't like slings. I like crossbodies. So the first time I saw it, I thought, yep, cute, and I didn't go much past that. But I took a look at it again. I watched the tutorial. I thought, you know what? I could make that into a crossbody and it would be exactly what I want for when I'm running errands, just running about and don't need a big purse. And I don't carry a big purse anyway. And so what we're making is the Kaede by Country Cow Designs. And so, yes, this is normally a waist bag, so it's the Kaede waist bag, but I made it into a crossbody. And what's hysterical with this is if you watch the Country Cow video, Jo mentions that when she was originally designing this, she was intending it to be a crossbody, but as she was deciding it, realized that it might be better suited as a waist bag. And I can totally see that. It really is the right size, it's the right shape for that, but as I said, I don't wear those. And I like that this didn't have the normal shape of a waist bag. It clearly works as a crossbody as well. So that's what I really like about it. So let's take a look at the features and then I'll show you the first one I made as well. So you have this, as you can see, a lot of pockets. We've got on the front, this pocket, which will have a magnetic snap. You'll see in the video, there's only half of it here because as I was assembling this pocket, I realized I forgot to put on the other half. And so I used a magnetic snap here with prongs. Can't do that now, and I don't have any riveted ones this size in this finish, so I just ordered them. So as soon as it comes, I will put it in and we'll have a magnetic snap here. And that will actually cause the flap to curl up a little bit. It won't be quite as flat as it is because it'll come up a little bit, and then I'll train it to bend in the right shape. So we have that, and this front pocket will fit your phone. So I have the Samsung 25 Plus, yeah, that's what I have. Not the biggest, like the second size. It's not the biggest one out there, but it's not the smallest. Easily fits in there. So as you can see, we then have a zipper pocket here, and it's a nice size pocket. So you can definitely put change. You can put just little things that you want to be able to grab really quickly right there. Then on the top, we have this big opening where you could also easily put your phone. But you've got a zipper pocket on one side. Hopefully you can see that. And on the other side, you have card slots. Now, normally you would have, how many would there be? It's either 6 or 8. I don't need that many, so I changed that. I have 2 card slots and then a pocket below that. That's a nice pocket for if I'm using this, maybe even for work. I could put my badge in there, things like that. So it's a great little size. You can really fit a lot in this little thing. For this, clearly I did make a couple of changes. First was making it a crossbody. So as you can see right here, I put in 2 slits, similar to how we put in this slits for the strap connectors on the Avalo. I don't know, you can hopefully, yeah, you can see the Avalo back here. We cut into the side on that. You put the strap connector in, and then you put a cover over it to help cover up the slit that you made there, because it's not a true hidden strap connector the way you can, you sort of cut. Anyway, you get it. And so I did that here. That's what I decided to do. I just thought that would be easy, and I put a little color on there, riveted in. Works really well. So that was the first change. Obviously, I mentioned the card slots. That was the second change. And the third change I did was I decided to change the zipper here a little bit. Normally, you would have one end here where the zipper has the bend at the 90-degree angle to stop it, and then a tab on the end. I decided to do tabs on both ends. And so let me show you my first one. So here's the first one I made, which is still also super, super cute. When I did the back at this point for the strap connectors, I actually, yeah, there we go. Hold on. Sorry. I actually, as you can see, cut the piece. This isn't a pocket. I just cut the back pattern piece and then determined how much more material I needed on top when I sewed it together, accounting for seam allowances, and put the strap connectors in there. I decided, why go to all that trouble? Just put some slits in it. So that's why I did it at the most recent version. I, though, did the zipper, as you can see right here. And I don't know, it may be a combination of the materials I chose. I mean, this is waterproof cotton, which I love. I absolutely adore waterproof cotton, but it is thicker. It's got, I mean, that's what I love about it. You don't have to interface it. It's got waterproof properties, but it can be thicker in certain seams. And I didn't get a very clean turn here where the zipper end is, or the zipper front is, the start, and you can see the lining poking up. I just decided I don't need it to open all the way like that, and so I put a tab on it. I figured it would be okay, and it did. It turned out very well. So this one, as you can see, does have the snap right there, so it can close. And you can see here, as I mentioned, it'll start to have a little bend. You just have to train it. You just have to train it to have this natural little bend here, right there, so that it folds and snaps nicely. So, but this is the version we will be making in this tutorial. With this one, I used this really pretty, you can see more of it from this side, bonded polyester from Shaks Fabrics. And I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, not Shaks, because I believe the owner's name is Shakira, so I would think it's Shaks instead, or Shaks maybe. It's a cute little store, and I bought a number of prints of the bonded polyester, and I really like this one. I just think it's really pretty. I wanted something, since it's a running around bag, that I could just wipe down. And then the lining is Mormino Renew canvas, so it's the recycled water bottles. So nice. Everything else is actually, except the webbing here, this is from Georgia Girl Stitches, but otherwise Mormino. My tag is from the Heartwood and Hide. But yeah, this is a great pattern, so I highly recommend it, and go out and grab it. So let's get started looking at the materials. Okay, let's look at the material. Sorry, you have to ignore this over here. I'm doing some edge coating for a different project. But let's look at the materials for the Kaede. So you can see I do have this one that I've already made, and I'm, for the most part, pretty happy with it. But I'm going to change things a little bit. I mean, I obviously changed things here when I made it into a crossbody. I'm still making this a crossbody, but I'm going to do the straps a little differently. I'm also going to change a little bit, just a little bit up here, but otherwise everything else should be the way I did it here. And that includes only having, over here on this side, 2 card slots and then a bigger slot there. So let's look at the materials I've got for this. Okay, so I'm very excited. I just got the template, so even though I feel like in my own mind I haven't really made a successful version of this yet, at least per my perfectionist mind, I bought the templates anyway because I'm sure this is what I'm going to like. And there aren't any measurements on here, so I'm not concerned about having these pattern pieces here. You're not going to be able to see anything. So this helps me remember what we're doing. So here we go. So we've got our flap. I've got the flap right here. I'm going to use this pretty, kind of shiny iridescent vinyl, and then a purple on the back. And I do already have that interfaced with, or stabilized with Decaville Light. I'm going to be using a magnetic snap. This is a smaller one. This is, I think it's 14 millimeter. I got it from Mormino, so I'll link it. I'm going to use that instead. I mean, I think a regular size one, which is what I used here, would have been just fine. This is a magnetic one, so I was able to put it in very easily after the fact. And you can see, sorry, let me back it up. You can see, obviously, actually, maybe it's not. No, I take it back. These are with prongs. I can feel those are with prongs. And it was fine using this here. I just thought, for many people, putting a magnetic snap right around somewhere where you're going to be sewing and then top stitching can be challenging. So I thought I'd show you can use a smaller one right there. You don't want to use a smaller one on something that's a really big flap. I think you still need it to be proportional to the pattern piece, but I think that will be fine here. I do have washers I'll get, so they're just not right here. Okay, so then let's look at some of the other pieces here. This is, there we go, what our front pocket is going to look like. I love this material that I got. I got it from, oh, hold on, I think I even read that the name changed. Hold on one second, let me grab the name of the shop. So this is from Shocks Fabrics. I'm assuming it's Shocks because I'm guessing it's the name Shakira, so I would think it's Shocks. Maybe it's Shocks. I think this is just beautiful. I was looking at some of the other materials on this site, and I think they're lovely, but I wanted to start with this. This is the, well, again, let me pull up the phone. Hold on, it's got it right here. This is Hydro Reminisce Custom, or a custom print, and so this is a bonded polyester. I just wanted to make sure I got it right. So I've got it right here. I'm looking at it. It's a really pretty print. I like that it's not too shiny either. I mean, all of these always have a little sheen to it, but it's not too shiny. And so I think it's just a beautiful print. So I've got a few of these now. I'm very happy with that. So that's, sorry, digress. So this is what I'm going to be using for that front pocket right here. And then I'm going to use the purple on the back. This is Renew canvas from Mormino. I've also already marked on here where my darts will be. They're just shaped this way because of the template piece, but we're not cutting anything. We're going to use these to help fold in half, and we're going to stitch down those lines. You'll see when we get there. I've also marked centers, so I've done it on both of these. I've got my darts marked here. Sorry, darts marked here as well. So that will be for that front pocket. The pocket lining will also just be purple. Then there is the zipper right here. And so I have my zipper and my tabs. I'm just using, oh, I'm going to pull. So you can see, so I'm just using the same Renew canvas for that. We then have these two pieces here, and that's where I'm going to use this material again as well. I have marked my centers, top and bottom, because you're going to want those. And so I've got those marked as well. And that, what is that piece called? Exterior pocket trims. So that's what's that called. And then here are the two pieces for the zipper pocket lining for that. So that will be the front. Now the back is normally just a back, but I'm going to be putting back there, get this out of the way, the D-ring connectors, or in this case triangle rings. I like how in this, so in this one I used 1 inch. The version, which I'm not even going to show, I used 3/4 inch, and I do like that, but I happen to have a piece of 1 inch webbing, the scrap, that I'm going to use, so I'm going to use 1 inch still. So these will go here. What I've already done, so this is the normal piece. What I did for this one, as you can see, I cut it. I mean, this is not a pocket. I just stitched it down, but that way I could put the strap connectors in there. It was just an easy way to do it. Instead, what I'm going to do is, let me flip it over. As you can see, I put far more self-adhesive fleece than I need there, but I put it there, some fleece there to reinforce it, and then I measured in, it's about an 1.25 inches from this edge, and I'm going to put a slit there. This will be similar to how we've done strap connectors. I think we do it on the Avalo, and what other, well, I'm guessing it's probably that that cute purse. We're just going to put a slash. We're going to cut the line here. It's not going to be a true hidden strap connector, but we're going to put it in. We'll put in the strap connector. We'll stitch it down. And then for this, as you can see, this is 1.5 inches wide, so it'll make a 3/4 inch strip. I'll just cover, well, it'll be from this side, sorry. I'll cover the edge of the strap connector and the cut line and stitch it down here. So this will be in the seam allowance. Yes, I'm okay with that, but I think it'll be pretty. And maybe I'll put my tag here as well. We'll see. I think that would be a good spot for it, although it'll be narrower. So no, it'll go below it. But yeah, so I think that's where I'm going to put the strap connectors, back here, that way. And that way I didn't have to change anything with this piece. It was just an easy, put it right there. So that's going to be the back. For the top, when we close it all up, it calls for a length of zipper longer than this. For this one, I did it per the pattern. Maybe it's just me and I'm not good at doing sometimes these corners. I can do a nice clean pouch where I don't have the little bump out here, so that's not a problem for me. But sometimes with this, especially if we don't go through and top stitch it later, it's not the cleanest for me. And so I've decided I'm going to give it a try. We'll see. Maybe I'm going to regret it later. I'm going to put a tab on both ends. That does mean it's not going to open as wide, but I think I'm okay with that because I think I'll be okay with that. We'll see if I eat my words. But for that reason, I've got these tabs. Now, these tabs are small. These are 1.25 inches wide by 7/8 of an inch. I guess, no, so 1.25 tall by 7/8 inch wide. So it's going to make just very small zipper end right there. This is the size we use in the Gabriella by the Emporium, and it works well there. So I thought I'm going to do that. That way, by having strap or zipper ends on both sides, I'm not taking up as much space. This is a little wider. You can see once I fold this in half, it's not going to be, I mean, it's only 1/8 of an inch difference, but hey, it's 1/8 of an inch. So that's what this is. And I'm keeping these clipped here so I don't forget. That's what those are. Okay, so now let's look on the interior, the inside. So we've got already cut out. This is the piece for my card slots. I am going to do it differently than per the pattern. So I do have my top and my bottom marked right here. And we're going to be folding them wrong side together, right side together, wrong side together until you get your card slots. I don't want all those card slots. I want one set at the top, or so it'll be 2 card slots, and then I want a pocket. And so you'll see what I'm going to do. I mean, I will do all the folds because I needed to fold up to that last one, but then I'm going to release some of them. And so it'll look a little different, but it worked out well. Actually, in the version I'm not going to show you, it worked out perfectly. I did also, when I did that, you can sort of see here, we have a fair amount. I mean, it won't be exactly like this, but we have a fair amount at the top that it is, we can show it here. There's a fair amount right here at the top between the top of these card slots and the top of the bag, and that's more than I want, so I am going to change that a little bit. When we sew the sides on, rather than sewing them to the top, I'm going to sew them a little further down. You'll see when it happens. It worked well one other time I did it. So I've got these are the sides then, and then when we're done, after we've done that, we need to take this piece here and we will put this on, and we're going to trace it to the side. We do this actually for the front as well because the pieces that we use to make the zipper pocket are longer than we need, so we'll use it for that as well. This is the size that you need at the end. So that's what this is here. Then pull this over. Okay, we've got, oh, those are the sides. We've got our main lining piece here. Oops. And I've already put my darts here because we will put darts on those. And then our facing. The facing looks different than the way you would expect it because this is the facing piece normally right here, as you can see. Oh, I should probably, wait, is that the face? I cut this too long. So I am going to have to make that narrower to begin with. So that's our shorter. That's fine. I'll just shorten it right there. That's not a big deal. But you can see it's taller. And although, you know, that might work well. No, that's too long. Anyway, I'll shorten this, but it's taller. And I did that on purpose. Let's just pretend this was the right width. When we go to sew this, the pattern will tell us how far down, let's just pretend we have this, how far down we need to put it, the facing, and we'll sort of make sure it's all centered and it's straight. And you can pin in this box here. I'll talk about the box in just a second. You can pin it to hold it in place, and then we're going to stitch around. What I did is I took per the pattern that the distance it said to move this down, whatever that distance, I'm not going to give that out here, and I added it to this piece here. It wasn't so much that I was concerned about wasting this much material. If it were inches, I wouldn't do that. But since it wasn't, you know, 3, 4, 5 inches, I just added it. That way I can line up my centers right here. And it's going to be exactly where I need it to be. I can just clip in a few places. So I will actually, as I said, need to cut this and then find my center again and then find the end here. But that's all you need to do. The pattern will also tell you where to put the box you're going to need to stitch down the zipper box. And so that is just per the measurements there. I went up how high we need to go from the bottom. And then we are using number 5 zipper tape, so you're going to need a 1/2 inch opening. So I just did that. I didn't worry about measuring down. So that's what that is. And then we've got our 2 pieces of lining for that. And my zipper is much longer than it needs to be, but I always do that. The zipper pulls, and that is everything. I have a strap already made. Let me grab that. So yeah, I happen to have a strap already, so I'm just going to use this strap here with black nickel hardware. That's everything, so why don't we get started? Let's do the first part that's not part of the pattern, and that's the strap connectors. So as you can see, I had lines there. I just cut through them, the width of the line, or the length that I drew, and I put the webbing through. Put one end in, put the strap connector on, put the other end through, pulled them so they're pretty close there. I mean, you can't pull them through anymore, but things aren't pulling. And I just want to put a couple rows of stitches there. We're going to put an overlay on here, so I don't really need to put too many because there's going to be more there. But I want to start with this, and it's a lower stitch length, a smaller stitch length, so that it's really going to lock it in. I will put a rivet on there too, so that's another reason I don't want too many there. So I'm just going to put one row right now. I'm going to back stitch well. Doesn't have to be pretty because we're going to put the overlay on it, but it's just to help lock it down. Let's do the other side. Wanted to try to get as close as I could to that connector. Oops. So now I'm going to just pop over to the cutting table and cut that off first. Come on. There we go. I'm going to put the overlay down, and I think at the same time I'm going to put my tag down because I'll sew it all at once. So I'll be right back while I've got that ready, get that ready so we can finish this up. Okay, here we go. I've got the overlay on. I've got it as close as I can get to the strap connector, and I did measure. I wanted to ensure that it was a consistent distance from the top, and then I put my tag on as well. We'll do that after. So let's just go through. I'm going to crank up my hump jumper a little bit because it's getting thick here. There we go. And so I'm just going to, I'll start this way so I can back stitch. Doesn't matter whether you sew down the sides, this way you won't see the back stitch. So we're going to go 1/8 of an inch from the edge, as close as you can get to that. Okay. So I caught it well in the back. I think I saw, yeah, I had a little wobble as I went over them, but you know what, it's fine. We'll put a rivet there, and it's on the back. I'll just say that. So let me do my tag. Well, the tag looks good. I can live with what happened there. But what I will do now is trim the sides. Because at least now I've got my strap connectors. This is going to be against my back. I'm going to push these down as much as I can just to remember to have them down. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to do this with the other pieces as well, is we've got the darts. And since it's here, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to sew the darts together. Now what we didn't cut them out, and what we're going to do is, you can see I have one line here. I'm folding it. I'm folding the corner here, or the curve, so that I have one line of the dart here and one line on the other side, and I want to line them up right there. Is all right. So I know you won't be able to see it, but I can see that they're aligned because we're going to sew on the line. We're not sewing next to the line, we're sewing actually on it. And so I'm going to clip these. Do this one as well. So you're doing it right sides together. And so just slide. If you need to, you could put a little mark on the front, but I think, you should be able to, if you just sort of go back and forth. You want to get it as close as you can. Don't worry if it's not exact. As long as it's pretty close to where it should be fine. And so we're going to sew those. Let me get the other pieces. Okay. We're only doing the exterior now because for the lining, I don't want to sew the darts for the lining piece until I've done the pocket that goes with it. So we've got our back lining, or exterior piece. We have our two front pocket pieces. And so I need to bring this way down. And we're just going to, as I said, sew on that line. Back stitch well at the beginning and the end. Okay, these are all done. We can see if we pop these out. This is, oh, I didn't notice I have a little pull in my fabric there. I think this was from a scrap box. That's fine. I will put, if you ever find something like this, I have this a little snag back there, it looks like. So I definitely get the scrap boxes from Morm, you know, from time to time. And I'm just going to put a piece of self-adhesive fleece on the back. There we go. That is essentially, I mean, you could put a little bit of free check on there. I'm not going to worry about it. That should be good. It's going to stick to that, and I think it should be fine. Okay. So let's turn these out just so we can see. That's what it's going to look like. So pretty. What we're going to want to do, start sewing things together.
What we really want to do here is put in the magnetic snap. I realize that I forget it later on. I am able to correct it, but note you should put in the snap before you sew these two pieces together.
Because these two are right here, I'm going to say let's do these. And so let's first start by clipping right sides together for our two pocket pieces. So this is the front exterior pocket for the slip pocket. Now we're just sewing across the top because we're going to top stitch, but I'm using a material that's very slick, and so I'm going to be clipping on the sides a little bit as well to really ensure it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and so I'm going to sew this per the seam allowance in the pattern, and then we'll just turn it out and top stitch. Okay, change my stitch length a little. I'm going to probably keep it around a 4.5 for most of this. So what we're going to do, I mean, in the pattern, she'll talk about, you know, you can certainly open this up. If you have materials that you can press it to help sort of open the seam here. I'm just going to finger press it because both of these are going to be fine with that. It's just going to help when you fold the seam closed again. And so I am going to fold it closed. I'm going to clip it. I'm going to try to have it so that the lining is not peeking up at all. We're going to top stitch that, and then we'll clip everything around and we'll baste it all together. Let's top stitch this first. I'm using a deep purple thread, so a lot will blend in. There we go. So now what we want to do, you can see actually, it looks good. It just sort of fits together nicely. And I have my dart here. One dart is a little uneven, but that's okay. But what I want to do is I want to clip these together because I want to baste. And so we want to nest our darts. We haven't cut anything. We're just going to nest them. So one is going in one direction, one is going in the other. And that way you're dispersing the bulk right there. So I'm going to clip those, and that's really the only, I mean, I'm going to clip the other parts so that they don't shift around, but you really shouldn't need to because it's fitting really well together. Sort of cups into each other because of the darts. So I'm going to, I'll do it from this side because it's just easier to, yeah, this is going to be easier to do it this way. I'm going to do it from the inside. I'm going to just baste around the edges. Come on. There we go. centers lined up. Let me make sure though it's still center. So I'm just going to hold these. I like to have my centers marked. My dart seams line up, so that's good. And my center is still in the right spot. Great. So that's done. I've got that done. I've got the back done. Now let's finish working on that front pocket. And this is where I'm going to be doing things a little differently. So let me get the pieces. Actually, I take it back. Let's do the flap first. So I've got my flap, both pieces right side together, the exterior and the lining piece. I did already mark, because I had it marked before, where I want to put the magnetic snap. Because I'm using the kind with prongs, it's on the lining side. So I've got the male portion on the lining side. And as you can see, I just covered it with a little bit of self-adhesive fleece. Now, one thing you can see, it looks like I've cut my lining smaller than the main. It probably shrunk a little bit, actually, when I adhered the Decaville to it. So that's what happened. What I did do to ensure it's lined up properly, found the centers of both, and I lined those up. So they're matched to the centers. Then I just matched the bottom here. And that's why you can see there's about an equal amount on both sides, equal amount on the top. I'm going to be stitching right along the Decaville. So I'm not concerned about the extra here. I can trim it. It does mean, yes, the pocket, the flap will be a hair smaller. Not concerned about it. Yeah, that way at least I know it's everything aligned properly. So what we're going to do, let's see, that's at a good point there. I'm going to, as I said, stitch all along the Decaville. I'm not going to stitch across the top. I'm going to start at the top though, go down, hug the edge right along there, go across, and then we'll be done. I'm going to use some pinking shears to cut into this, and then we'll turn it. So let's do that. What I want to look and see is, does it look even all around? It does. If for any reason something went askew, you could put in some stitches now to try to correct that. Let me get my pinking shears. Now I normally would cut notches in here. Part of it's time. I would like to do this and get as much done as I can tonight, and so just trying to save a little time. But I want to put some notches in here so it's going to turn a little better. You could also just cut some little, you can cut them yourself. As I said, that's what I normally do. Even if you just cut some slits, that will help. Since I'm using these, I'm just going to sort of trim at the top a little. Okay. I'm going to go, because I'm not concerned about the little bits on the sides here, but this is a bigger amount there, so I'm going to go trim that off. I'll be right, well, actually no, I'm going to turn it first. Let's see, because of how I probably will roll this, that may actually turn out well. So let's see. And you'll see what I mean when I say roll it. So let's just turn this. That looks pretty good. So that's how it looks from the front. Now when I say roll, notice how it's not as the difference isn't as large now, and that's because when you turn it, you want this really to be so that you have a little bit of the mane poking out from the back, and that way you don't see the lining down here at the bottom. If you had piping in this, that wouldn't be an issue at all. I don't have piping, so I'm going to just flatten this out a little. If anything, that is perfect. I want to try to ensure it's an even amount all the way around, so that when I top stitch, it does, it catches everything the way it should. Trying to flatten out some of those corners too. And so I think I'm going to put a couple clips there just to help hold it in the spot that I want. You can see by using a slightly smaller magnetic snap, you've got a lot more space. There was enough space there anyway, but if you're concerned when you do that, get some smaller magnetic snaps. They work really well. help this stay closed, I'm going to clip across the top. Just so it doesn't bulge while I'm doing this. Okay. And so now I am going to top stitch all the way around. And so we can close this because I have my snap in there. I can close it. So I'm going to put my back stitching on that top part there. Let me get my hump jumper up a little bit. A little wide there, but it's still fine. We'll be within the seam allowance. Let's see. Yeah, I caught everything, so that's good. Get that out of the way. So what I do want to do is find my centers. So I will need that. Okay. So as you can see, I started a little wider here. Then when I got down here, it went to 1/8, which is fine. I just tried to make sure that this side was 1/4 of an inch again. I'm fine with that. It looks consistent, so that's fine. And so the seam guide definitely helped with that. Okay, so that's done. So now we can go and start with the zippers. This is where I'm going to do things a little differently. The way Jo does it, she has you, let me get the pieces out. Sorry if I keep moving there. She has you not put the tabs on yet. And the way it's a really clever way that, sorry, I can see something stuck here, that she has you construct this pocket. She does it in a way so that, let me grab it. So, and it'll be easier to show as I put together. But often with pockets like this, where you have a tab on the side and you sew, when you sew it together, there's usually a gap right here. It's small, but there's a gap. There's usually no way you can sew it all up and close that gap very easily. And so she's put together a way that will allow you to close that gap, fully close your pocket, and have it all top stitched. And so I'm still going to do that. I'm just doing the steps a little differently. So what she would normally do is she would do the zipper tape without the tabs and put the together with the lining sort of the way we normally do. We have one up and one down, and you sew them on so that they're splayed out. I'm not doing that yet. I'm going to sew on first my tabs, but I'm not going to top stitch them. And so I bring this down. Oops, no, because I have to sew over zippers. So I do still have everything the way she's got it. I've got it marked. There's a mark that we have to follow to sew this down. So I'm still going to do that. I've already marked my tabs. The difference now is when you sew these tabs on per the pattern, keep dropping my clips, you don't actually sew the entire width here of the tab. It's only, you would sew it, you can see you don't sew onto the lining pieces, and there are no lining pieces here, so I don't have to worry about that. I can sew the whole width. Let's do the other side. Now, of course, my pen is gone. I need a pen. Hold on. So, as I said, I'm not going to top stitch these, but I am going to fold them back, and I'll crease it. And this is a good material for that. I want to find my centers, so I'm going to fold in half right at the fold of the tab. So, putting those together, I want to find the center of the zipper. So now, oops, let me move the zipper closer to the end. There we go. That'll be easier. And fold it, and hold it there. On the back side, I'm just going to mark the center, top and bottom. Yep, can see it. Perfect. Okay. Now, we do have a lot of extra here, so you can, if you want, cut some of this down. You don't need it. I'm going to trim that down. And don't cut your tab, cut what's behind it. Okay. And I'm going to melt that down while I have a chance still here. Okay, so now we've got this set, and nothing's been top stitched yet. We're not doing that. And so we want to get one of our lining pieces and one of our top pieces. And so I've got mine, or not a top, I'm sorry, a contrast. And I've got them labeled, here's the bottom part that I want. I'm going to put this together the way I would normally put together a like a zipper sandwich. And so I'm going to, hope that things don't fall away. There we go. And so I'm going to take, having issues. My pieces here. Now the tabs are going to make this longer than you need. That's why I found the centers. You need the centers there. So I'm going to put right sides together with my zipper. I've got the center of the zipper tape against the center of one of those trim pieces. I'm going to line it there. And I'm going to go all the way across. I'm just going to tape it in place. Okay. And I'm going to put my lining on there too. And I can see where the centers are. So I'm going to line the centers. And this is where I'm going to do things similar to the pattern. In the pattern, when you're sewing things together at this point, you're not sewing the full length of any of this. We're sewing between the tabs. The reason for that is, let's just fold this way. As I mentioned, we want to be able to close this pocket when we're done. If we sew all the way down, this is now sewn to the pocket, but there's going to be a hole here, and I'll show it more when we're done. By not sewing all the way down, this will, it's taped, but this will remain free and open, so we can fold it back and we can stitch to close our pocket. So that's why we're doing it this way. The difference is I'm just assembling it a little differently. So if you need to, find the pen that you keep putting other places. You can mark it where the tabs are. She also has you in the pattern put a mark from one end and fold to it so that you have a crease, and that's where you'll sew, and it makes it easier. I think it's easier the way she does it, especially if you're sewing it per the pattern. One, I'm not doing it that way, so I don't feel I need to, but two, this material isn't going to crease regardless of what I do, and I can't press it. So I just drew a line to sort of remind myself that that's where I'm sewing, to try to make it even as well. So I'm going to put and it's basically sewing, as close as you can to the zipper tape is what you're doing. And so I'm right at that tab, and I can feel, I'm not going to be exactly on that line because I can't get there without, even with I guess if I put a zipper foot on, but I'm okay. And so I've got the zipper teeth right up against, there we go, against the presser foot, and we're going to sew. And I'm approaching the other tab. So just stop there. Close to that line, at least it's even. Okay. And so that's actually the bottom that we're doing here. So now you can crease this to get this back out of the way. We're not top stitching yet, still. Not doing any top stitching. I will likely, when it's time to top stitch, I'm going to put some tape here because this doesn't crease, that'll help hold it down. But I'm not worried about it now. So there's their bottom, as you can see, because the zipper is closing in that direction. So now we're going to do it again with the other piece. So I'm going to get first my trim piece, and I'm going to align the center with, it's easier if I do it this way. Align the center I have on the back with the center mark I have on this trim piece. The tape doesn't stick to me too much. Now, of course, you can just align the edges of the pieces, the pattern pieces. They should align now. You can do it with the previous one, but you do right there. all the way across. Even though we're not sewing all the way across, I find it really helps us still have it taped all the way across. Get our lining piece. Oops. Make sure this tape stays on. And that I've got the center marked on my lining piece, center of the zipper tape. So I'm putting that right side down. So it's now right sides of the linings are together. Making sure that's all lined up. There you go. And like before, if you need to mark it, keep moving the pen in places I don't expect to see it. You can always mark right there. There's where I want to go to. Whoops. There we go. I've got my marks for the ends of, where the tabs are. And let's, like before, I'm getting as close as I can to that, because it's the zipper teeth right there. Okay, and we're just going to start at, wait, what's going on here? Sorry, I got to make sure. I feel like something's off. Oh, it's only because it's open. That's fine. Okay. You know what? I'm going to, I wish it were closed. Let's see how I can, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. What I'm going to do, because I opened it, I want that to still try to be as closed as possible. I'm just going to try to hold that closed. There we go. Only have to go a couple stitches and I can close it. The zipper tape. It's just easier to sew if your zipper tape is closed where it needs to be. There we go. That feels better. Okay. I'm at the point where I marked it. I'm going to close that now. There we go. And go straight across. Okay, I'm approaching the other end. So now I can open that up. So we can see this is what it's going to look like. Now we need to top stitch. And so we don't want to just do a normal top stitch because we'll close this. So that's when we want to crease that other piece we just add, crease that open. Now, as I said, if you've got materials where you can press this, press it. I don't. So I'm going to go over and put some double-sided tape on the material here so that I can get it to be nice and straight and flat, and let me do some clean top stitching. So I'll be right back while I go do that. Okay, I think we look good. Let me try to get that down. What I was trying to do with the tape is make it as even as possible. I can see here I want to pull this a little bit because since I can't press it and it doesn't naturally crease, it's hard to ensure that it's like an equal distance from the zipper tape, and so that's why I put double-sided tape. I think it's helped. I think it's a little higher on the top there. Let me see. I'm just trying to, you can see I've been trying to even this out. That's better right there. Try to do what I can to crease it. I need to come over and just make it even all the way across. And right here. There. I think that's pretty good. Probably as good as it's going to get. So as you can see, actually we'll go this way. We'll go that way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to top stitch around the way we would if this were an overlay. We're not top stitching this yet. We're going to do that after when we've sewn the pocket closed. So don't worry about that now. But we're going to just do, we're going to start, you can start wherever you want, but we're going to start, we're going to go around like this, and you can pull your threads back if you want. I think I'm just going to back stitch. I'm okay with that. And, oops, my thread came out. Hold on. And come on. Are you? There it is. Okay. I think that's good. Let's see. So I am going to, and I don't like it when it's so far at the end. There we go. We're going to just go 1/8 of an inch around. So now we've got that top stitch, that looks good. We're going to fold down the piece on the top. I'm going to take off, I have this piece of double-sided tape I had there to just try to help hold it in place. This crease as well. So now what we want to do is close up the pocket. And this is where it'll make a little more sense about why we didn't top stitch this down. Normally, if we had top stitch all the way across, when we went to close the pocket, we wouldn't be able to sew any of this right here because it would be stitched down, but there'd be a hole. Even though you wouldn't see it, there would still be a hole right in here. And so by doing it this way, we avoid this. We can pull this back, we can top stitch straight down or close it up straight down right there, and it'll close that hole. And then we can, we're going to top stitch this after. So what I'm going to do, actually, let's see, try to make this as straight as possible. This is longer, as you can see. I'm going to trim this. Or I pointed to the one that was shorter. The one on the bottom is now longer. These are the same size, so you do need to trim it up. There. This is not a pocket we're turning through, so you can close it entirely. So what I'm going to do is peel this back. I'm going to just stitch down. Suppose I cut my zipper tabs or my zipper tape a little short, but it's fine. I'm going to stitch. There we go. I like to go right next to the zipper tape, or you can see right here where the natural fold is because of where the zipper end is. I like, or tab, I like to sew right next to that. That's just what I like to do. So you can make it the width of this if you want. I'm going about there. So now, as you can see, we have closed up that pocket. And it's time now to top stitch the rest of it. So what we're going to do, not that, yeah, that's fine. We're going to come in from the side, so you can back stitch over here if you want, but we're going to come in, we're going to go about 1/8 of an inch from the line we did right here, and then go back over that way. So, and then we'll do it on both sides that way. So you can see, oops, missed a thread. This is top stitched, and so it's top stitched here. It actually, because I come so close when I close my pocket, it's putting that row of top stitching right on top of what I already did. If yours was wider, if you closed your pocket here, yes, you would have a little bit less there, but not enough to matter. So I'm going to do this side. Now we've got a pocket. You can see, got a nice pocket in there. So that's how I do it. A little different from how Joe does it, but it still gets to the same result. So the next thing we want to do, let me take that off, I'm going to take this tape off, is we're going to be attaching the interior pocket lining and the flap. And so part of what you want to do here, I like to do this, I'm going to fold this up out of the way because we want to pretend that's not there. We're working with this bottom piece here, and so that's why it was important to have your centers marked as well. And so what we're doing here is essentially a zipper sandwich, or not a zipper sandwich, a sandwich. We're going to be putting, we've got our flap, which will go here, and then this is going to go there. It's going to look like that. We're going to put the other pocket front on top, but this we need to put together first. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put, hold on a second. Here we go. We want to clip your flap right side up to lining piece. You can baste that on if you want. I might baste it. Just to make it a little easier. My vinyl shifted a little there, so it's a little uneven, but it's okay. So I'm going to baste that on. We're now going to take our panel here. I'm going to lay it right sides down, so you've got that center mark from before. Right sides down, so align your centers. That's why you want to have your pocket out of the way as well. Now I can see, it's a bummer. I can see it's not exactly straight here because, you know, there was a part that we didn't sew on and I tried to fold it so it'd be nice and straight and I didn't do a good job. This side looks okay. This side looks pretty close. But this side does not. I can just see it's veering down. And so what I'm going to do is align the top as much as I can. That'll be in the seam allowance, so I think it'll be okay. Because it actually is pretty close at the end. So I think it just veered a little right there. But that'll be in the seam allowance. And so we're going to sew this per the seam allowance in the pattern. I'm going to see how it looks. If I need to rip any seams to make it straighter, I will, because that's something that's been bugging me, is that it just hasn't been straight when I've done it. And I think it's because I'm using materials that don't want to be straight. So let's see. I'm going to just sort of flip this up. I want to see how this looks. Well, that looks okay. It's a little tight here, so what I'm looking to see is how even this is. And I think it's okay. It's a little narrower there, but we're going to end up actually cutting some of this off, and it's going to get in the seam allowance, so you'll hardly notice. I think for the most part it looks good. My zipper is only a little wavy, but that's okay. So now what we're going to do, let's keep that pocket out of the way still. So I'm flipping that back up. We're going to fold up everything. So we've got the flap up, the zipper up, the pocket up, and we're going to top stitch underneath on the lining panel. Don't worry that it doesn't look like the right shape, it's fine. As you can see. Now this will eventually, what we're going to do, I mean right now you can see it's like, it's not a very, it's bending in weird ways. Whereas you can see here, this has a nice bend right there. What I do is I take big clips later and I clip the sides to help train it to be there, and it's done a good job. So don't worry, it will eventually train to be there. The magnetic snip will help eventually, but for now don't worry about it too much. I mean, you can certainly bend it to start, but wait until later, really. Okay, yeah, I think that looks okay. Especially once we start to bend it. Good. So the last thing we need to do is attach our front pocket, and so for that we're going to align the top of the seam here with the top of that lining panel that we just sewed on. And we will be going all the way around, but one thing Joe recommends, and I've done it, it's really not a bad idea at all, is to stitch down these two top parts here, just to ensure they don't shift, that because they might. I mean, as you go around, it certainly could. Now, you could always use the method that she usually does, where you might start in the middle and go up, start in the middle and go up. But the thing is, because you're dealing with weird curves on one side, flat on the other, that can be still tricky. And so it's not a bad idea to clip these together first and stitch them down. Just sort of base that down before you do anything else. So I've got one side here. I'm going to stitch this. So I'm looking at the time. Oops. Come on thread. There we go. So we're going to make sure those are nice and even. There we go. A little extra. Now let's do this side. Again, I'm looking to make sure it doesn't move. go. Because you want the pocket even when you're doing this. Now that those are stitched in place, we can work our way around. It's going to feel a little weird. I'm going to put the pocket up again, the zipper pocket, just get that out of the way. Like that. Okay. It's going to feel a little weird because one piece is flat and one piece is curved. Just, you know, do your best. I have my centers marked on both, so I'm going to clip that first. I'm going to clip out a little from there. That'll help a lot, have your centers marked. Okay, so now I'm just kind of working my way around. It's really going to be that curve where the dart is that's going to feel the weirdest. It'll work, and if you turn it around and go from this side, I mean, it is the same shape, so it's just a matter of easing it in there. We are now just going to baste around. Don't worry about smushing this. And then when we're done, we're gonna put the snap on for this and trim it down, and we will be done with the exterior. Ooh. Okay, so that's looking good. I guess we do sort of need to figure out a little bit of this bend here because we have to figure out where to put the magnetic snap. So, as I said, what I'm going to do, let me grab a couple big clips. So these are the clips I've been using. And I'm going to think about what I want this fold to look like, approximately. Probably something like that. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to hold that there somewhat. Try to do the same thing here. As I said, it will eventually fold on its own. Okay. That looks okay. And so, I know there are measurements for all this, but this is how I do it, especially since I didn't put this necessarily. It might be around where it's supposed to be. I'm just taking a silver marking pen and, oh, shoot, I have to open up the bottom of this. I needed to put this in before. Talk about an idiot. Okay, so don't be an idiot like me. This is me forgetting that I'm using magnetic snaps with prongs as opposed to rivets, because when you use rivets, you can put them in after. And that's me right now thinking, oh, sure, that's what I can do. Nope, can't do that because these are with prongs. And so you need to go according to measurements in the pattern, which I did not do. I'm going to see if I can mark where I need my rivet or my magnetic snap to go. See if I can feel that. Hold on, let's do that. I wonder, one sec. Okay, all for creative solutions. So, I have 14 millimeter magnetic rivet snaps, but I don't have any in gunmetal. I do have them in normal 18 millimeter, and it works. You can see it does actually work because the center part is the right size. It's the exterior part of it, the round circle, that is a different size. You can see it definitely works. It's a strong magnet. So, I mean, it's a little, no, I'm sorry, the middle part is not exactly the same size. It's close. It's not exactly, but it's close enough, and that way I can keep the same finish. And so I'm not going to put anything on right now because I'm going to wait till it's all done. I can put that on after because I can punch a hole through this and set it without a problem. So again, you can see here, if I needed to have done it, this one is between the layers, but you can see you can easily get to this inside here, so I can punch it. You'll just see the cap on the inside here. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So we will do that later. I'm going to save that for a later date. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Put those clips away. So what we need to do now is take the pattern piece. Can't remember what the letter is. Hold on, I'll show you. Pattern piece F? Yes, pattern piece F. And what we're going to do is align it to what we've got here and we're going to cut. It's basically cutting this part here. The rest of it should be the right shape and size, but we just need to do the edges so that it's the right shape. So be right back and we'll look at our piece. There's our front panel. There's our back panel. Our exterior, there we go. Even though it's a little wonky looking, it's not terrible. It's a little wonky, not terrible. I might rivet through this still. I certainly have space, so we'll see, and that might make me feel a little bit better. But yeah, I think we've got our exterior done. Now time to move on to the lining. I really like how this looks. Yeah, that's such a pretty print, and I love it with that pink. Okay, let's get started on the lining. I am so excited because we are so close to being done. So let's move to the lining, and let's do the zipper pocket first because I have it in front of me. So I've got my main piece. Now we will eventually be sewing down these darts the way we did the exterior. I'm just not doing it yet because I find it easier to do this part when this is still flat. Just less, not that it's bulky, but it just gets in the way. And so I've got my centers marked here. As I mentioned, what I did for my facing was, because we would be placing this down a certain amount from the top, I added that amount to the top of my facing piece because it wasn't really huge. If this were like a tote and I had to move it down 4 inches, I wouldn't do that. That's a lot of material to waste. But this wasn't a huge amount, so I just added it onto the top because that way, rather than pinning it, I can do this. I can just clip it all along. And as long as I drew my box on well and it's straight, then clipping it like this will be all I need to do. Got to turn my machine. And so now I can sew that box. So, okay, I originally did my lines in the wrong spot. I made it narrower than it should be. So I'm going to the outside once there, but I'm just going to sew around that, bring my stitch length down a little bit to get a slightly better, tighter fit there. I know Jo will say she goes often on her machine, and with the materials she uses down to a 1 sometimes even, which is pretty small stitch length. I'm not going to do that with this Renew canvas. That would be puncturing it far too much. So I'm going with a 4, which will be fine. It'll be just fine. So I'm just going to go all the way around on the lines. I'm missing a light here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to sew on the line all the way around. I don't have any snips. Where'd they go? Got my snips. And I forgot to mention, you put right sides together. The facing is right side down on top of the lining. Okay. So that's sewn on. I will eventually be cutting this extra material, but I'm not going to yet. So the next thing I'm going to do is just cut a little slit in here. What you want to do, let me just get it started. There we go. Is if you need to, you can draw a line in here to do this, but you want to cut down the middle of this. There we go. To about 3/4 of an inch to the end, an inch to the end, you can decide. And then you do a sort of, I guess the way I'm looking at it now, it looks like I'm creating a Y because I'm cutting up into the corners, right to as close as I can into the corners without cutting the stitching. If you cut the stitching, just go in and make your box 1 stitch length wider to close that up if you need to. Don't get too worried about it. And again, I'm on the other end doing the same thing. Now, if you have, there we go. If you have materials that allow you to press this, go right ahead and do that. That'll make it easier when we're going to turn this back to the other side of the lining piece. This Renew canvas creases really well, so I'm not concerned about it. As you can see, it's almost like ironing that. So I'm going to push that through to the other side. Doesn't always want to go, but it'll just make it. There we go. Usually once you get one side through, then it's okay. Crease it then on the other side. Now what you can also do, and I sometimes will do this, there we go. Once that big side came out, now it's, if you need to, you can put a little bit of double-sided tape on these to help hold them down until we do this next step. And I will probably do that. Again, I'm not going to iron this. I'd rather not. It sometimes shrinks a little bit, and I'd rather not do that. It's just not the most ideal thing. You see, I like to take a look and see how my box looks. Did I do all the corners look good? Yeah, the corners look good. You can see I've got nice crisp corners there, sharp corners. If it was looking really bunched up, it looked like it was pulling a lot, you probably just need to snip a little closer into the corner, which I know can be hard, but you'll just want to do that. So now what we want to do, and I'm going to go to the cutting table to do it, is you want to take your zipper. As you can see, I have, oh, it goes this way, I've got tape on it already, and what we're going to do is lay it down on top of this like that, center it, and then we're going to sew it down. So I need to go to the table so I can stand over it, and so we'll be right back and we'll sew the pocket together. Okay. It's all in place, and I wanted to show you another thing you can use sometimes to hold things down. It's just painter's tape. It's out of the seam allowance. You can see I in fact have this one going around here because I'm going to cut that later. But it's a great way of holding things down temporarily if you need to when you're moving around. So I highly recommend that sometimes. I have, in fact, I've got regular size painter's tape. I've got some narrow painter's tape as well, sometimes if I just need to have an edge on something. So now we're going to sew this down. I'm going to show you, well, first, we're doing this differently than in the pattern. In the pattern, you would have sewn the lining pieces to the zipper before you do this. I'm obviously not doing that. I'm going to sew the zipper in place first. Actually, no, I'm not, sorry. I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm going to sew one side of the zipper in place. And so you can see I've got this here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one of my pieces. I'm going to align it with the bottom only of my zipper tape. And so you can see I've got right side down. It's aligned with the bottom of the zipper tape. The lining piece is the same width as the facing, so you can just align it there. And so what we're going to do is I want to make sure this looks really nice. There we go. We're going to get our, come on. There we go. Yes, no, okay. We're going to start at one end, and I'm going to start about 1/8 of an inch below the bottom part of the zipper box and to the outside edge of it. And so I'm going to place my needle there. I'm just eyeballing it, but I have before taken a ruler and put a dot where I want to go. I'm going to leave my threads long because I'll tie them off, and I'm going to go across to about the same point on the other side. And I'm going to hand crank this last one so it doesn't go quite as far. Okay. I should have probably kept that one a little longer, but that's okay. So now we've got it across. We're going to come around. You could have backstitched there if you wanted to, but the point of this is to actually try to make it so that it looks like you have one continuous seam all the way around. So you normally do want to pull those through. So I'm going to tie these off. What I do so that it will have a nice knot to start is I loop it through twice. Not just one time. I find if I loop it through once like this and then pull it, it doesn't hold. So I always loop it like, okay, so there's once. I loop it through twice, and then I do that 2 times, and that's a pretty strong knot there. If you're concerned about that coming out, you could also put a dab of glue on it since it's on the back side. Not going to make a difference. So that's what I do as well if I'm concerned. So we're going to pull this side. I can take this tape off there too. So again, I've got it pulled out. So I'll do once, twice. Yeah, hold on. Helps if I know. There we go. Okay. I'll go once, twice, and then I'll pull it. And it works well. Once, twice, and that is a really strong knot. Okay. So now I'm going to fold this backwards, increase it. I'm going to take our other panel, and I've got my tape on the right side, and we're going to have this one go down, and we're aligning it with this side of the zipper tape, and we obviously could align it with this, but I also have the facing here as a guide. There we go. And so now we're going to start in the hole where I ended and go around. So I'll put it in there by hand. Threads long, going around. Okay. Okay, close here. There we go. We didn't. Where's it? There we go. This off. Yeah, that looks good. It's basic zipper. So the first thing I want to do is cut this extra off the top, because that's just, I don't want it in my seam allowance, and you don't need it. Okay. Oops, there we go. I'm going to cut a little bit of my zipper tape off. I'll do that after. We need to close up the sides, and so for this also, I can see one of my pieces is a little crooked, but that's okay. We're going to fold up one side, because we do need to turn through this. Now you can measure this if you want, I'm just eyeballing it. So for this side that's shorter, I need it to be that height. And then what I'm going to do is just match the other one to it. And I did not align my pieces very well because they're not even, but that's okay. So I'm just aligning the two here. Normally if you have a surface where you could do this, it'll be better. But let's see if that looks good. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go over to the table because as I said, I need to be able to see what I'm doing. But what I'm doing is trying to fold these over so that they're the same length, or same length down from the zipper. It's going to make it that much easier when we need to turn it. And then we'll be able to sew down the sides to close up the pocket, and I'll trim a little bit of the zipper tape. So I'll be right back. All clipped. So now what we're going to do is go back to the front. We're going to pull back. Oh, so yeah, I put tape on the sides too. We're going to pull back our lining piece so that we can see the back of the pocket. You can see there's some fraying going on, but that's okay. I'm going to trim the zipper. And we're going to sew down the sides. Now I go really close here. I did that on the front as well. This is what I like to do. But you can make it a little wider if you want, just as long as you're catching. I wouldn't go wider than the little tab you've cut out here. It's good. This is that little V or Y or whatever, the triangle, the diamond, whatever. It's not a diamond, but that little bit that we cut when we were opening up the panel, the facing. It's good to catch that. I mean, I guess you don't have to. It's been sewn down right here, but I like to catch it when I'm closing up the pocket as well, just to ensure there's no way it pokes back through to the front. So that's just what I like to do. But you can make this as wide as you'd like. I'm going to trim down the sides a little bit. See, now you'd never know that my panels weren't aligned well. I'm going to just do a quick singe of the tape. You can see it's starting to fray a little right there again. So I just want to prevent that from happening anymore. We've sewn it down in a number of places, so it really shouldn't have an impact, but just to be safe. And so that part's done, and then you can see in this pocket. Oh, I should probably take the clips off. I clipped it just to hold it. There's the pocket. I'm going to zip it up for now. We'll have to unzip it later. But what I need to do first, before I do anything more, bring this down. I need to sew up these darts. So I'm just aligning them like I did before. Making sure my point is right there on the fold, and that the ends are on the fold. Or not, sorry, not the ends are meeting. There we go. Or as close as possible, at least. Let's do this one. Okay, so I'm going to sew those down. So this is, we're of course going to be pushing these out the other way, but it's so that you can see that it looks right. Yep. This one's all done. Let's do our credit card slots. Okay. So here is what I'm going to be doing. So now remember, you've got and I had marked the top and the bottom on the wrong spots, so be careful with that. But you're going to put a series of lines, and you're going to start by folding wrong sides together, right sides together, and you go back and forth. What I thought I would show you, though, is what I do to fold when you've got one here on the inside. When you're folding, if I'm folding right sides together, you know, we've got the back marked. I can see this crease here if I were doing that. So I know, okay, it's the right spot. But when you're doing it this way, it's hard to see. And so what I do is I grab a ruler. Now this is wider than 1 inch, but that'll be okay still to illustrate what we're doing here. We fold that back for a second. And I'll put it here. Now I don't put it on the line that I've drawn, because if I put it on the line and fold, I'm folding some, you know, a smaller amount. I mean, because you've got to take into consideration the how wide or deep the item is you're using. And so I put it a little behind it. I sort of think about how thick is this ruler. I put it a little behind it. I fold it like that, get as close as I can to what I think is right. Then I pull it out like that, and then I'll crease it. And I'll straighten it. I'll measure to make sure I've got everything in the right spot. But that way I know I'm pretty darn close. And it's an easier way, I think, to get that fold. In fact, you can see it creased pretty well right on that. So that's what I do when I need to fold right, wrong sides together so you can't see the line. Yeah, I think it really helps a lot. So what I did, just to ensure I made sure my folds are in the right spot, I did do all the folds. And I know it actually, I can see they're a little crooked, but you know what, I measured. I'm going to measure again to ensure that everything is right. I only wanted one set right here for the credit cards, and then I want a pocket. And so what I am just confirming is that the distance from my fold for the credit card slot is equal. Let me see, is it equal? You know what, it's shifted a little. I need it to come up or go down just slightly. And so I'm going to move this. We're really talking minimal. Right. Let me pull that out a little. There. Okay. That's where I want that one. And I do like using these type of clips for this. I feel it makes it really easy to hold it in place. Now for this one right here, I want it to be 1/2 inch below, which is the normal amount of what you would do. I want it 1/2 inch below. So I'm going to put my ruler at that point here. I'm going to do it here. So that's 1/2 inch. And let's come to this side. Yeah, that looks good on that side. And then what I'll do is I'll take a look, make sure it looks good and even, and I think it does. Looks nice and even. It may not be even here, but maybe I didn't cut it entirely straight, so I'm not too concerned. Plus, we're going to be sewing on the side panels, so I'm not concerned about that. So the first thing we want to do, I'm going to have to take a clip off. I always get nervous, like, oh, take a clip off. We're going to top stitch. So what I did is I took that one clip off. This hasn't moved because I've got it clipped everywhere else. I'm doing that first one, and I'm going to top stitch. Okay, so the first one's done. Now I want to do the second one, so I want to try to keep all of this still really well clipped so that things don't move. I'm just going to fold this out of the way that way. So everything is still clipped together, and I'll still ensure when I'm done here that everything is the right distance, but this way hopefully it should be. I'm going to top stitch the second one. So I can fold that back up. So this is what we're looking like so far. Normally what you would do after you've done all your folding is sew right up the middle so you can create the card slots. I don't want the card slot on this front one. So what I need to do is, this is where it gets a little scary. I have to undo some of this. I want only the second one here. So I am going to have to undo that. I'll measure it again later. But as before, I'm going to ensure that we are in the right spot. See, this side just does not want to behave. Wait, let me see. This one has to go down just slightly. Undo that side. Right there. Right there is where I want it. In fact, now I'm going to use this clip. It's going to do a better job holding it. Right there. Let me ensure again. Yep, right there. Great. And so now what I want to do, I'm going to find my center, which, I don't have. So I'll find my center. What I can also do is I can feel right here is the end of that flap. And you can see, just to show you as well, here's a little credit card thing. If I go in here, you can see it just stops right there. So that's the end of the flap. I'm going to go just about a stitch below that. I'm going to start, come up, and then go back down. So I'll be right back. I just want to put a mark there with a pencil so I can see where to sew. There's my mark. Hopefully you can see that. Wait, let me do that. Yeah, just pencil. So I'm going to try to sew almost entirely on it, but even if I don't, that'll be easy enough to wipe off. So, back stitch, go up, I'm not even going over a whole stitch, so I'm going to hand crank it. So I really want it to be just right next to it. Back down. Clip out of the way. There we go. Okay. So there's my card slot. Let me clip the side so we can see. I can put card slots there too. You can see that one fits in. It looks like there's a lot of space now, but don't forget we're going to put sides on, and so that'll make it's going to be a good fit, nice snug fit. So we're going to bring this back up, and like before, I don't actually have to worry about that one. It's now there, but I'm going to find a ruler again. Just seem to keep losing. There we go. Okay. I want this to be 1/2 inch, which is very standard for card slots. But I want to make sure it's like, for instance, this one I did 1/2 inch where it's right below the inch mark or 1/2 inch mark, and this one, it happens to at the moment be on it. So I'm going to move it up a little, just a smidgen, so it's even. Okay. And so now what we want to do is just base down the sides. Now I only have a little bit here, but what I like to do is I like to go from the bottom so that I'm sewing up against them. And I mean, I could sew the whole thing, but I'm really concerned about just this right here to keep those in place. And I'm going to go in the same direction on both sides. So that's basted down. I'm going to do it from this side. It's just easier to go up, obviously, than and have the material on this side, and that'll be fine. Oops, didn't get that one. And so my pieces are right here. So let's do it same direction. We're going up. We're just basting. And now if you're doing all the card slots, you'd want to baste down the whole sides of both sides, but I'm okay with what I've just done here because they're basted. So now we're going to take our sides and we're going to align them here. Now I'm aligning mine at the top here because, oops, obviously I'm going to be cutting a lot off here, obviously, but for right now I'm just lining them here. I'm not worried about all the way down. Let's put the other one on too. I have a material, they're very similar, the front and back. I can see there's the difference between the two, but whenever with some of these, if you have an issue, like I can't tell, you can usually mark the back and it'll leave a mark. So, but for most of those where it's like that, you can actually see the difference. Or feel it. Sometimes you can definitely feel the difference. Now this is where I can see my piece, even though, yes, it did technically veer a little, everything is straight. Oh, okay. Everything is straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm aligning it. Hopefully you can see here. The fold is a little above that. I'm aligning it so it's straight with that piece of material that's creating the fold, not with the rest of it that's starting to slide down. I want to ensure that everything is straight that way. So we're going to be trimming, so it's not going to matter. So I'm going to sew per the seam allowance in the pattern now. And so that I'm going in both the same direction. In this case, I'm going down. I'm going to go from the back side so I can sew the material on the left. Get to the bottom? Not yet. That's the one thing. It's hard to know, did I get to the bottom yet? So and that's only because mine is so much longer. You'd be able to do it without a problem. Okay. So now we're going to fold this back. And I've got a little thread. Let me just take care of that first. Where did you come from, little thread? There we go. And we're going to top stitch on the side panel. I'm going in the opposite direction for the top stitching. I'm not as concerned this time. We've got everything really well sewn down. It's just the top stitching now. Okay, let's just confirm one more time. We've got pockets there. And I've got a bigger pocket. You can see, I know you can see it goes deep, but that's what I wanted. Although some of it we'll see. The last time I did it, I did end up sewing a little bit of this in the seam allowance. We'll see. So now, normally you wouldn't have all this hanging off the bottom. What you do now is you take your pattern piece F and you align it to the bottom. I actually did that incorrectly the first and second time. I aligned it to the top, which explains why I had so much extra up here. You align it to the bottom and you trim. So you end up trimming some off the top here, but the main thing also is to trim the sides because you need it to be the right size, the right shape. And so I'm going to go do that and we'll take a look at it. Be right back. Okay, just to show you what I did, I first trimmed, obviously I had all that extra at the bottom. So I trimmed it so it was even with the side panels. Then I found my center, and I found the center by folding together and folding so that my side panels met the seams for them, and found my center that way. I then have my pattern piece F. This pattern piece, this acrylic template didn't come with centers marked, so I marked them because I needed it for another piece too. And I just aligned it there, and I was able to just cut around using this, which is great. But otherwise, you can do the same with your pattern piece. And so now we have this, and you can see how nice it looks. So we are just about ready to put this together. One last thing to do. So as I said, I am doing my zipper differently. I'm hopeful I'm not going to regret it. I don't think I will, but we'll see. And so normally with your zipper tape, what you would do, you'd have a piece a little bit longer. You would fold over the ends to create a 90-degree angle, and then you would have a tab on the end. I've decided to put a tab on both because let me show you mine. Maybe it's just, I'm not the greatest at this. It puffs up a little bit. I know there are ways you can get it to go down, and maybe it's the materials I'm selecting. I don't know. I like the clean look of this end as opposed to how it looks on this end. And so I just want to do that, even when that's just me. So that's what I've decided. I'm using smaller tabs than usual, and I've used some tape to help hold them in place. So I cut pieces that were 7/8 of an inch wide by 1 1/4 inch tall. And you can see, depending on your zipper tape, this tape is just slightly wider than that, but that's okay. It's going to get caught in the seams. But that way, I still have a zipper end or tab on the end here. So the zipper's not going to fly off, but it's smaller than what we normally do. And so I'm just going to put these on. I'm going to increase my hump jumper there a little bit. I'm just going to sew this on. Oops, let me get this a little more even. There we go. 1/8 of an inch from the edge to sew it on. I should note this size works because I'm using vinyl. I'm using a non-frame material. You can also make one this small out of woven. You just have to make it obviously a little bit wider because you'll have to fold in and then fold in again. So you would need to make it 1 3/4 of an inch wide by 1 1/4 inch tall. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is find my center. Yes, you can see it. And I'm going to go get my pieces. I'm going to put tape on these. Now, the way you do it in the pattern, Jo gives you some markings where you would start and stop. The main reason she does it the way she does it is so that you can easily get past the zipper and one end, the zipper tape, the zipper tab at the other end without sewing over it. And if you watch her video, you will see that she'll go around first with the normal presser foot that she has on her machine, and then we'll go through again with a zipper foot to get really close. I have a narrow foot on. Yes, I could put on the zipper foot. I'm not going to. So that's me just being lazy that way. And so because of that, I made it a little bit narrower. I gave myself what should be enough clearance between the two. So it should be enough. You can see once I put this here, that's a pretty decent amount on the sides. I should be able to get over that without a problem, or get as close to this as possible. So that's what I did there. So I'm going to go put tape on these two pieces here. I've got tape on the other ones already. I'm going to open that up and we will sew this together. So I'll be right back. Got all my pieces. I'm going to let me go grab some. So I've got got our zipper tape. We're going to start with the front. FYI, I ordered some smaller magnetic riveted snaps here. So I did what I will do, and in fact, I'll probably punch a hole so I know where it needs to be. I'll figure out where the center is here, and then there's a measurement that you're supposed to have used, if I'd remembered what I was doing here, to determine where the hole goes or where you want to put your other side of the magnetic snap. I will measure that, but I'm going to remove the seam allowance that I have here, and it'll be fine. But I want it to match, so it'll be riveted, but it'll work with what I've got here, so it'll be good. So just a little update. Anyway, I've got tape on this one. Now, when you're determining which piece of the lining goes with which piece of the exterior, you're going to base it on what it looks like back here. Ooh, hold on. I want to put this in. I don't want to accidentally sew over my pocket, so I'm just going to clip up the sides, so that should help. You can see it should be far enough out of the way that we're good. But this side of the lining is flat. There are no darts here. It's flat, essentially. And so we want to put the other flat one on that side, just so that they lie together nicely. And so that means we're putting the card slots on this side. So just be aware, when I do the front, it's going to go with the card slots. When I do the back, which is darts, I'm going to put this side, which has the zipper pocket and has darts here. And this is another one where I'm going to put up the pocket, at least for right now, so things don't get sewn in place. Okay, so let's first, I've got all my centers marked. I'm going to take the tape off of here. Now, the one thing, much like when I did this here, you know, I've got a material I can't crease. I have to just do my best with this. And so I want my zipper to go in the same direction as my zipper here, and so they're going to the left. They don't have to go to the left, but I just would recommend whichever direction you do, have everything going in the same direction. I'm going to tape that on. Now, because I've got tape here, I don't have to baste it in place, and I'm not going to. But if you feel comfortable or prefer doing that, certainly do. You can definitely baste it in place. And, oops, let me get that even. Okay, so that one's on. I'm going to grab this. And I'm going to line the center. Tape it on the other side. There we go. Okay. Well, I'm actually going to pull the other zipper out of the way too. I've got a lot of zippers here. Just so I can do that. Okay. So let me bring that down a little. And so now, because I'm not basting the first one in place, I'm just going to go, whoops, the seam allowance in the pattern. May need to replace my bobbin soon. Okay. So for top stitching, you have a choice. You can either top stitch only on the line, the exterior, and pull this out of the way, or if you're going to top stitch on your lining, you only want to go from zipper tab to zipper tab, or if you're doing it per the pattern, from where the zipper starts here to the zipper tab. I'm going to do that actually. I want to do that this time because I feel like it just needs some help, depending on your materials. If you've got a material you can press down, then it's not a problem. But I want this to be as flat as possible. And so I am going to, I want that closed, top stitch from zipper tab to zipper tab. We don't go all the way across when we're sewing through the lining as well, because it makes it challenging when we have to turn and punch out this end right here. It doesn't do it very cleanly. So that's why you only want to do from zipper end to zipper end, to keep this end free. Okay. See, how does that look? That looks pretty good. Oh, I love this print. Look at that. So now we're going to do the other side. Let's get first our main panel. And align it with the center. Of course, you can align it as well with the edges of the main panel that you already have there, but I always start with my centers. That way I know if it doesn't line up, you've got a bigger problem. But it does, so we're fine. Okay, let's get our lining. Put that together. Right side with the lining that's there. Okay, and yep, we look good. Where's the zipper? There's so much going on here. There's the zipper, right? Wait, is that the right zipper? Yes, that is the correct zipper. So I want to do it. Should have done it from this side before on the other one, but let me just pull that out of the way. Okay, there we go. So like before, I'm going to go for the seam allowance in the pattern. Something to note, I feel like something it just was a little out of alignment. There's nothing that says you can't stop and fix it. So That's what I'm doing. I could see that this one is not, or are we not lined up? There we go. It was a little off. The lining was a little too high. And so I want to come in and try to get that straightened. There we go. That's better. Just moved a little. That's better. And so now I'll just go back where I started, or ended. So now that you can just stop. It's okay. I have a feeling I'm going to need a new bobbin. So let me, before I top stitch, fix that. Let's see. Yeah, it probably would have been okay for the top stitching, but it wouldn't have finished. So I'm just going to pull it out now. Because I have one here. Based on what I've done here, I would say this is just over a bobbin. And it's probably, maybe I had goofed some, I'm trying to think, did I do anything where I used more thread than I should have? Maybe. So now we can top stitch. Let's take a look and see. One thing I like to do is, does everything look even? Does it look even with what I did before? And it does, so that's good. And so I'm going to, like before, I'll pull my lining so it's well behind that. I'm going to go from zipper tab to zipper tab. Get this out of the way a little bit. Like before, as I said, I'm just not pulling it super tight, but I just want to ensure, I really want it there. Just get the zipper pull out of the way. I want to ensure that my material isn't curling up on itself. And that my lining stays back as well. There we go. Yeah, I'm glad I top stitched that. Okay, we are now ready. I'm going to open that to sew this together. So let me make sure. I'm going to take these off. Don't need those there. And take this off. I'm not concerned about that. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to open this front one up, not because I need to, but because I don't want it at the edge. That's all. I don't want to risk anything there. And my interior one is open. I actually usually put it more towards the middle, and then later I'll go through with my fingernail from the inside and open it the rest of the way. Prefer to have my zippers in the middle. So we're going to put our lining together, and we're going to put our, wait a minute, what am I doing? Our lining and our exteriors together. Okay, I'm going to do this so that the tab bends down into the lining, so as you can see that, so I'm lining those up, lining up my side seams there. And one thing Jo does, and I might do it this time, is she bastes that to really ensure they don't move, which is a great idea. I mean, often we'll just clip it and go around, and sometimes it shifts a little bit, but you know, why not baste that ahead of time? That's a great idea. So I'm clipping right here, so I'm assuring that my top seams are nicely aligned. I'm going to clip just a little on the sides around it. Oh, look how thick that got because I put that side bit there, but it's fine. Okay. I am going to do that. I am going to just baste that down so that way, because I can see right now if, and you know what, you also could, frankly, if you wanted to, you could staple and then take it out of the side. Just remove the staple when you're done. I'm putting a clip right above the seam, and I'm on this side. I'm just going to baste it because that way it's not going to shift up in any way, or one of them won't. And so I'll start below, obviously, and I'm just basting it on. I guess I didn't need to backstitch, but it's okay. So that side seam is not going anywhere. Let's do that on this side as well. So I'm going to go back here let's put, I'm going to line these up. I don't know why this side is a little goofy. What's going on over here? It's fine. Just pulling. There we go. So as I said, as before, I'm going to put a clip right above it, as high, as close as I can, right above it. Clip below too, so that doesn't go anywhere. Okay. And base that. Oops, don't go on your clips. Hopefully I got that well. Nope, you know what? It shifted. Believe it or not, it shifted. I'm gonna staple that one. Oh, it didn't even catch. That would be the problem. That's why. Okay, hold on. Didn't even catch. This one is having a weird issue, so I am going to staple it. There's absolutely no harm in that as long as it's in the seam allowance. There. Well, okay, if you're going to staple it, at least staple the pieces together. Don't be like me. This isn't my normal stapler. Hold on, let me get my normal stapler. All right, here is my normal stapler. It's a little smaller. Well, no, it clearly looks bigger. The staples are smaller. So I'm holding these two together because they just are being problematic. There we go. Now it's stapled. And so let me just, again, I'm just going to ensure this side looks good. That side I have no problem. Okay. So now what I can do is just clip all around. Now, if you're using materials that are really thick, you could leave a hole in the bottom and then just turn through there and then close up through the pocket. So I clipped a little on the sides because I wanted to sort of have those even, just one or two. I'm not going all the way around because the next thing I'm going to do is clip the bottom here. I've got my centers marked. Clip the bottom and then work my way around. And it's going to feel a little weird because one is a dart and one doesn't. Just sort of smush out your piece with the dart and you'll see it fits in there. So just do your best. You'll see that it'll fit. So I'm going to do the same on this side, just sort of smush it down. Now on this side, if you recall, we nested those seams, but now we have an extra one. What I do, now I know, and I rewatched what Jo did, she just folded it over, but I thought just to balance a little bit there, have the bulk distributed, I'm slicing just up the middle. I'm not cutting it off, I'm just cutting it, I'm butterflying it, so as you can see like that. And that way, what I'm first going to do is find my center here. Then I can come over and I can do the darts. So I've got the seam for each of the darts and I'm going to open this one up like that. So now that one is distributed well. So there isn't one side that's thicker than the other. And I'm going to clip the rest of the way. You know, I take it back. I am going to fold this one up till we're done. I'm going to do the same on this side. So there is my dart right there, or the seam for my dart. I'm going to open this one up, align the seams, and then open up this dart there. Drop my clips. Okay, Now I can clip the rest of the way around. Now this is a really slick material, so if you're using something like this, I would recommend more clips. You could tape. You could staple it. I'm not going to staple the rest. I think I'll be fine. But just be aware, depending on your material, sometimes you're going to want to use some extra bits to help keep it all together. Just finish clipping over here. I have to remember I stapled it. Okay. We good? I think we're good. Yeah. I'll be able to see this pocket. That pocket I won't be able to see, so it's good to have that clipped out of the way. Okay. So what we're going to do, you can start wherever you want. I guess I'm going to start probably on the lining, and because I'm sewing it up, we're going to turn everything through the pocket. I don't have to worry about leaving an opening, so you just start somewhere. Maybe it'll be easier to start on the main because you'll do this per the seam allowance in the pattern. Then as you get to the zipper panel here, you want to cross over at the seam allowance and go down about 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to increase it a little bit and go around at that increased seam allowance. Then as we get to about 3/4 of an inch from this, again, come back out to the seam allowance in the pattern. So you can decide where you want to start. I guess I'll start right here in the middle at the bottom. And there we go. And for the seam allowance in the pattern. If it helps, you could certainly put down a guide. I might do that because I've got some curves here and I want my curves to look good. So let me see, is that where I need it to be? Got clips in the way so I can't see my lines. There we go. That's good. Okay. You've got a lot of material, so just push it out of the way. Don't be afraid to squish it up. Now I've got extra here because I've got this strip that I added at the back, so I'm going to crank up my hump jumper. You won't have that. And coming up on, go back down, our zipper. So I should be able to go right next to it. If I can feel that, that was perfect. And so now, bring this out a little. We're going to make it a little wider. There we go. Is that? Yeah, I think that's where I want to be. And close again. So right about now, I'm going to come back to my seam allowance in the pattern. I'm going to back stitch over that. And now I want to go back, make sure I'm back at that. No. Got my crazy high thing here. Got a lot of material here too, so I'm just moving things out of the way. I can feel the flap under there. Got a lot going on. Just take it slow. Bring your hump jumper back down. It'll do a better job. I'm gonna have to come back over this corner. In fact, so I can feel and I could see because I have my seam guide. I got a little wide. I'm sorry, narrow, not wide. And so I'm going to come back and do that part again. That's better. take those off now. Let's see. Yeah, I think it looks okay. Let's take that one staple out. Where are you? Staple. There we are. Okay. I am going to trim this a bit because it's really thick in some of these areas. I'm not going to trim right here at the zipper, but I'm going to probably I'm not concerned about necessarily using pinking shears on the lining. This is a pretty thin material, so I think it should be fine. I'm going to see if I can take some pinking shears to the exterior, just to have it turn as nicely as possible. Okay, let's see. Kind of thick there, so I don't know. These aren't the best pinking shears. Not really. Yeah, it's just too hard. I need to get better pinking shears. So I'm just going to cut that down a little bit, just to get that out of the way. Just to reduce the bulk a little. This is pretty flexible material as well, so it probably isn't going to be an issue. But I just want to reduce the bulk here. It is thick. Okay, that's enough. So I want to see what this looks like. So we're going to turn it. So I can put my finger in, and I can open that up the rest of the way. I can open up the main zipper the rest of the way. Let's pull this through. This punched out. Those look good. Let's get the main one punched out. Oh, wait a minute. Something. My hands on the... There we go. So one thing I look for when I'm turning this is how well aligned are my darts. This one's a little off, but pretty good. And this one... That one looks good. That one's very nicely aligned. Okay, so just getting that all nicely rolled out. I'm going to poke out my corners here, my tabs. There we go. Oh, see, that looks nice. Okay. Let me get this in so I can get the other one pushed out. This one looks tight, but there we go. What I'll do actually is go from inside and push it out from the inside. So I'm going inside the pocket into the lining, so I'm between the lining and the main exterior, and that's where I'm going to push it out a little there. There we go. So before I zip up the pocket, let's just get this all in place and see how we look. Because don't zip up the pocket until you've confirmed it all is okay, in case you need to go back and fix anything. But I think we're good. The lining feels nice and tight in there. Zip that up. Oh my gosh. I am happy with this one. You see? Oh, so stinking cute. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. So much happier. Now, remember, this is going to eventually bend. This is just flat down right now because I don't have that snap there. That is coming. But it looks so good. Here's how it looks from the back. Is it crooked back here? Well, I might have sewn a little. You can see it looks a little crooked. It's going down. Well, I suppose it doesn't help when I hold it that way. It's a little off, and it could be I just sewed a little wider here. And that could be where I went in and I maybe overcompensated. So it tightened this up, but that's on the back. You're never going to see it. Because it looks fine from the front. So, and then on the inside, we've got our zipper pocket right there. We've got our slots right here. Let me grab my phone. Okay, so the phone, remember there will be a snap there, but can fit here very well. And so it'll be no problem because there'll be a snap there, but also very easily goes in here. That was the thing I was concerned. Will that be too narrow once I put a tab on the other side? It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Oh my gosh. Let's just close up the zipper pocket. I am so happy with this. 3 times a charm, right? 3 times a charm. That's what it is. So, because we folded those over when we were sewing up the side seams in our pocket, we should be able to just pull and they should sort of go together. So we're just going to put those together. This is a great place if you want to put a woven label. I'm not going to, but that's a great place for one. Just going to clip across. Bring my hump jumper down. I won't need that. So now we're going to sew that closed. Do it at 1/8 of an inch. You could of course hand sew this closed. I don't know how to do a blind stitch. I should say yet. Maybe I will eventually, but I don't at this point. So I'm going to sew it this way. Okay, let's get that tucked in. Get the corners pushed in there. That's the thing that always, it's like, get those corners pushed in your pockets. There we go. Set that up. Oh, yeah, it looks so good. And still just making sure everything's pushed out. But it's a nice looking lining. I don't know how we can see that, but it's a nice looking lining. And then that. And I might have just a smidgen of a wavy zipper, but it's okay. And wait, let me grab the strap. There we go. Strap. I love this. I love this little thing. This is going to be so perfect. I just wanted a new tiny little thing that I could toss on that zipped closed, that I could bring with me when I'm running some errands. Oh, gosh, do I love this. So I hope you go grab this pattern. I am so glad I bought the templates because I'm definitely making more of these. Yeah, go grab this pattern. It's a really fun pattern. It comes together really easily. I think it really does. This is pretty fast. And we'll go look at this and compare it to the other one that I have already. So see you in just a moment. And here it is. We're done. I adore this thing. Oh my gosh. One, I think it's the materials. I really love the materials. I love this print. I think it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And it's coming out, I can see over there, it's coming out a little washed out. I probably could tone down the light, but it's really lovely. And the pink looks great with it. I like the tabs. And again, remember I did smaller tabs than you might normally do, but I think it's perfect. And I can fit my phone in. I think that's always the key. Can I put my phone in there if I needed to? I can. One thing I would recommend, I mean, as much as I like using the bonded polyester, you do have to be careful with these accent strips right here, because per the pattern, and I mentioned it in the tutorial, what you would normally do is crease it at the point where essentially is where your seam allowance is. You're sewing there. And the reason you're doing it is not so that you can do well right here on the zipper. It's for these ends over here. Because remember, we don't sew these down in it initially. Sorry, right here. We top stitch them down. We don't sew them down. And by having a crease there, you're helping to keep that nice continuous line from where you sew through that part where we don't. With the bonded polyester or bonded nylon, whatever you might be using, you can't crease it because you don't want to iron it, and it doesn't take a crease very well. So you saw I had to fidget with it over here a little. Tape helped a lot, but this is something to keep in mind. I think using a material here for these accent stripes that is maybe a little thinner, or something that you can press really well. So for instance, for this, I mean, it was fine. It's not as straight and even as I would like. I think on the bottom one more than anything. Now, this is waterproof cotton. I could have pressed it, but it's really thick still is the thing. I think having something that's going to take a crease really well will be your friend for these parts right here. That's really what I would recommend. It worked. I mean, and if you have confidence using something like this, just use tape like I did. Use the tape. Try to really ensure that it's even all the way across. And you should be fine. I mean, mine is a little uneven. I think once the flap starts to take its shape, you're not going to notice that this part is a little uneven, and it'll be fine. I did get a teeny little pleat here as I was going around, but I'm fine with that, and it's okay. Just right there, smack in the middle, I have a little pleat, but it'll be fine. And I will be very excited when I get that snap. As I mentioned in the tutorial, I ordered it. It's coming, and so I will determine where it needs to go based on the measurement here. So there's the measurement in the pattern. I'm going to subtract the seam allowance because I sewed this together already, punch a hole, and because it'll be riveted, it'll be fine. Okay, just wanted to show you one last little bit. I got my snap. As you can see, here's the other snap. This is, if you're in the US, I got this from Cam Snaps. These are 14mm riveted magnetic snaps. It fits the pronged version. So this was the pronged version I used here. Fits it perfectly because they're both 14mm. And so that's great. But because I forgot to put it on here, I'm okay with that. Here, wait, I'll take these off so you can see. You can see, here it is, and you do see on the inside the snap. So I was able to, or the cap, so I was able to put that there. It will snap. And so now what I was doing, and that's what those clips are for, was I'm training it. So I wanted to have a natural bend, and so you can sort of start it. So I think I want it like this, and you can see how it curves a little rather than being flat. I have these big clips. There we go. Hopefully you can see there. They're gentle. They don't leave marks. Well, I'm not concerned, in all honesty, about marks because they will eventually come out. I'm not really that concerned about it. I'm sure there might be some instances where they won't, but I'm not going to be leaving it on long enough. I just wanted to train. So I'm holding it there on the side. Now this is a thicker vinyl, so I'm actually going to also put it here. I opened up that zipper pocket just to help hold it and train right here as well. And so that way, once that's all done, this will be nicely folded down. I've got my snap here. And so, yeah, this is just such a fabulous bag. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Go check out this pattern at Country Cow Designs, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.